The Eagles have to win a Super Bowl again this year.
They could be in a little bit of trouble, obviously. They're 1-4.
I shed a tear. I really did.
Maybe they just need to use Justin Jefferson and stop going into wildcat formations.
Welcome back to the Early Hours podcast. Boys, another week of NFL action in the bag. And look, another international game for me. It's not an international game without me bringing some stuff back from the game. This one, obviously, in London. And what better place to start with? Another NFL pin, this one actually saying London on it. It's a bit different to the one I got in Dublin. It comes in a little package, but it's still nice to be collecting those as memories. And then 2 t-shirts to show off with you. The first one, a Cleveland Browns special.
Oh, nice.
I've not got any beef with the Cleveland Browns. They did beat us this season, but this is their mascot on a London taxi, so that's pretty cool. Mitchell and Ness as well. You can't knock that. You can't knock that quality. And then a bit of an interesting curveball one here. Another t-shirt. This one just saying the NFL International Games, but it's more like a band t-shirt. It's got all the dates and locations on the back, and obviously if you've been tuning into the podcast, you know that I'm trying to hit every international game this season, so that is a nice checklist to keep me on track with that. And speaking of the London games, no better place to start than the Browns-Vikings. Obviously 17-21 with the Vikings coming out on top, beating the Browns in what was their designated home game. The atmosphere in the stadium was amazing, but it was all Vikings focused. Like, the Vikings have got a London pedigree, and I would go as far to say they're probably London's second team behind the Jags. You look around, 80% of that crowd in purple, in Vikings gear. Really difficult for the likes of Dylan Gabriel when it came to like a third down. Really important for the Browns to have some silence. So much noise being aimed at the players on the field. The TV screens saying quiet please, and no one was giving them a break, and that could have been a factor to why the Browns lost.
It's stuff you don't appreciate sat at home, isn't it, really? You don't necessarily always get that feel, but I think even Justin Jefferson spoke about it in his presser after the game, said, I thought it was a home game for us. So, maybe you're onto something with them being the second sort of coming of London. But yeah, Carson Wentz having a what looked to be quite a scare early on in the game, went down with a shoulder injury. Jordan Addison, I think we're probably going to touch on the sort of disqualification almost.
It's a weird little decision from Kevin O'Connell, because look, you have to be strict with your players, but you either ban him or you don't. A first quarter suspension is a weak punishment, but definitely. Hey, look, if he'd have done it for the whole game, they might not have got the win, because he got the game-winning touchdown.
100%. And what's funny about those two players that we've just mentioned there, Wentz and Addison, they were the two that connected for that crucial play. So Carson Wentz, like I said, came back into the game, led a clutch 10-play, 80-yard drive late in the fourth quarter, and went ahead with the score. 25 seconds left on the clock. So Addison to thank for that one, and Carson Wentz absolutely doing what needs to be done. These are crucial wins. We've said it the past few weeks for a number of teams, and you've just got to get the wins until JJ McCarthy is back.
The Vikings now undefeated when it comes to UK games. Obviously, they did lose in Dublin, but from last week's geography lesson, we know that Dublin and the UK are different entities there. One play to watch, if you've not seen it, definitely go back and watch the highlights. It's the special teams trick play between Cam Akers and Josh Oliver, the running back actually throwing the ball to the tight end and scoring a touchdown there. That made the stadium go into another level. Absolutely electric atmosphere there. One thing I do want to open up to the room, though, and I feel like it's something that's going under the radar, is Justin Jefferson and his performance. Still only just the one touchdown the entire season, and now with the Vikings going into a bye week, it's going to be another week where he gets no real action. Is there alarm bells around Justin Jefferson? Like, he doesn't seem to be performing like he has done in his recent years.
I think that's probably pretty harsh to say. He got 123 yards on Sunday. I think he's probably one of, or if not the difference maker in that game yesterday, as we've seen over the last couple of years. And it's funny, since Carson Wentz has been quarterback, his production's gone up. He's been having 100+ yard games. Yes, he's not getting the touchdowns that maybe you expect from him or the fantasy managers would want him to get. But it just seems like the Vikings are, either preferring Jordan Mason at short range with his powerful runs, or they're using Jefferson to, draw men out, and they're hitting people like Josh Oliver, Jordan Addison, even on other days, Jalen Naylor. So I think Jefferson's doing his job, and the touchdowns will come. But they're getting the ball to him more now, and yeah, I think he's doing his job. And as long as the Vikings keep winning, no complaints.
Maybe they just need to use Justin Jefferson and stop going into wildcat formations for Cam Akers. But no, yeah, he'll be absolutely fine. The separation from Addison will be an absolute confidence booster. Not that he needs it. He's arguably the wide receiver one in the entire league.
I do feel, though, that the Vikings are quite a predictable team at the moment. Like you can tell, especially with Carson Wentz coming in relatively, new as a starting quarterback in that team. He's obviously going. If he needs to get out of trouble, he's obviously going to Justin Jefferson. There was a few instances in that game where they're on 3rd and 8 or whatever, and you're like, well, this is definitely going to Justin Jefferson because there's no other player who can get them out of this mess. So if you're going to double, triple coverage at those positions at those times in the game, then it's going to make Justin's life even harder because he's got no other people to throw to. But hey, look, yeah, like I say, the Vikings come away with a win there. Not a bad international outing this season for them. Looking back then at the games last week, starting off with Thursday Night Football, it was the Rams 49ers 23-26 there. Smells, you said it was going to be a bad day at the office. The 49ers definitely coming away with the win in overtime, but not a comfortable win for them.
Yeah, I think obviously another misspeak from me maybe. No. Obviously, we looked at the Rams. They are technically the most fit and uninjured team in the NFL. You look at that compared to the 49ers, it tells a story. Big Sack Mack played really well. Him and Kendrick Bourne, it brought back the relationship they had in New England a couple of years ago. And we saw the best from both of them, to be honest. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, I had a spat on Twitter with a 49ers fan saying that he made too many mistakes, not a good season. Honestly, I mean, you just can't please some people. Oh, you know me, I like to rile people up.
Seahawks, now it's even Niners.
Genuinely, though, I mean, yeah, we played well. The defence showed up when it needed to. Didn't really do well against the run of Kyren Williams, but, we showed it when we needed. And Eddie Pinheiro, the pickup of the year, Big Eddie. I say Big Eddie, he's only a small guy, but, a career-long 59-yarder to win the game, and that's what it's all about. Kyle Shanahan, 11-7 now against Sean McVay as well, so... a good Thursday for us, and it kind of gave us the weekend to kind of watch the football, stress-free, which is always nice.
You mentioned Sean McVay there, and I think testament to him. Whilst Kyle Shanahan absolutely deserved that win, and I think they were just so happy after the game. It was great to see from a Niners standpoint. Credit to Sean McVay in the presser after the game. He carried the team on his back and he said, "No, this is on me. I needed to make better play calls." And that decision to run Kyren Williams, what looked to be just a simple inside zone on a 4th down, he took that and he carried it for the team.
Guys, from what you've seen this season, the 49ers and Mac Jones coming in to be your QB1, who would you take between him and Brock Purdy now that you've seen what he's capable of?
I think you'd go fully fit Brock. I think he evades the pocket a little bit better. I think throwing the ball, etc., I don't think there's too much difference. I think Mac Jones has come in and been really good. But people forget Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler in his first year in New England, and was playing at the Patriots and then a little bit at the Jags. They're not easy situations. But for the next couple of weeks, while Brock's not 100% and we want him to be fit for the playoffs, I'd go with Mac Jones for now. Mac Jones obviously addressed it in the press conference as well, and he was really professional, if I'm honest, and said he is there to be the backup and he knows what Brock wants from him and what the team needs from him. And I can't say enough good things about Mac Jones, but Brock Purdy is the QB1 moving forward.
At the very least, you've probably upped his trade value, so that's great. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think he's shown enough to at least have the conversation. He's going to cost you a lot less money. You can reinvest that money probably in the picks you get back from Purdy, or just freeing up that cap for potential acquisitions in the future. We know players like AJ Brown sound like they're going to be on the trade market. There's certainly pieces here or there. Could we see fire sales from the Bengals, from the Giants, teams like that? So for me, if you're going to extend that Super Bowl window, it could be an opportunity to do that with Mac Jones.
I'm also in the Mac Jones camp. It's funny. It just feels like Mr. Irrelevant with Brock Purdy is becoming even more irrelevant now that he's got competition from his QB2. such a cutthroat game is the NFL. Elsewhere this week, the Sunday slate, we had the Panthers beating the Dolphins 27-24. Look, a big shout out to Rico Dowlde there for effectively winning and saving my fantasy week. We got the Colts 40, Raiders 6. A spin on the classic film here. It's Indiana Jones and the Raiders lost game. Not good. Moving on. Eagles 17, the Broncos 21. Jalen Hurts win streak. It comes to an end.
Absolutely gutted for all the Eagles out there.
I shed a tear. I really did.
I'm gutted. I really am. But yeah, you know what? We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, I'm sure, in the next few minutes. I want to focus on Bo Nix first and Sean Payton. I think they really showed out last night. I think, Bo Nix leading a furious second half rally to take the team where it needed to be and put the pressure back on the Eagles, really. He hit Evan Ingram for an 11-yard touchdown, and then they even went for 2 in a crucial moment. Sean Payton said, no, you guys are staying out there. I back you guys. You've shown me what you're capable of today. And they converted it, which was incredible. So, yeah, Knicks finished with 242 passing yards on the day. And speaking of passing, on the other side of the ball, wasn't Jalen Hurts' best day. We did call it. We did have a bit of a stab last week at Jalen Hurts for his passing abilities, and it just wasn't there again. Really confusing day for the Eagles on the passing game.
We took some heat from that as well, let's not forget.
Yeah, we did actually. We did take some heat, but again, please direct all online hate back to Oliver Gallimore. You mentioned AJ Brown potentially being on the trade block, maybe even next season. I think it could be this season. Jalen Hurts, he's definitely choosing who he wants to throw to, and AJ Brown just not getting the love that you'd expect a wide receiver of that caliber getting. A good day at the office for Devonta Smith, of all people, getting 114 receiving yards. He tends to fly in and out and he gets a game, then he doesn't really get a game. But yeah, he outperformed AJ Brown in that one, and maybe there's some bias in that Eagles side because it isn't the first week that AJ Brown's been ignored.
Look, I'm going to say it, and I'm always saying bold predictions. I really do think the Eagles have to win a Super Bowl again this year. This is one of their last, in my opinion, this is a real sort of last chance for them before, look, we're going to see Barkley a year older. He's already had a drop-off, which is really harsh to say considering the stats he put up last year, but there is a drop-off. Hurts, we know, can't pass. I think they're probably going to trade...
I love it.
What? He doesn't seem to be able to pass. It's just not very, very good. There was so many open receivers last night. There was key moments in the game, and he's just missing them. Overthrows, basic throws, things we expect to see from Jackson Dart, from Cam Ward. Not Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl winner last year. Barker, like I said, is getting older. They're probably going to trade one of their wide receivers, if not both. Both seem disgruntled. I don't know.
It's a confusing and frustrating side, isn't it? Because they're putting all their eggs in the run game, and the tush push, for example, which
is going to be banned in the off season. It's going to be banned. It was trial and tribulation in last off season, and it's managed to sneak through. And let's be honest, I think a lot of teams will be changing their vote when the vote comes up next year.
Another juggernaut failing to get the dub on Sunday with the Bills. They lost to the Patriots 23-20, and Drake May and co managing to keep James Cook quiet.
I think, that's probably the surprise of the week for me, more so than the Eagles game. I think we would have all predicted the Bills to go and walk over the Patriots in a big divisional game. First off, obviously, James Cook, really tough game, really never got going. The Patriots absolutely stuffed the box and didn't let him do his thing, and the Bills looked a little bit lost without that. We know Josh Allen can pull it out when he needs to, and him and Dalton Kincaid did everything they could to do that. Kincaid with a massive week, and Josh Allen with a couple of mistakes, uncharacteristic, but still did carry the team a little bit on his back. But I just want to touch on the Patriots and how they performed. It's got to all be about them, and especially Stephon Diggs. He was brilliant, 146 yards, and there's a great picture of him staring down Josh Allen at the end of the game, and it was Stephon Diggs of old, and it was really nice to see, not something we've seen the last few years at all.
It's funny, just on that run game piece, going back to the Bills, I don't want to take away from the Patriots, but I think what's interesting is, they stuffed the box and they stopped the run, and actually it forced 3 turnovers for the Bills, and they'd only had 1 in the previous 4 games, so quite a leap in terms of that turnover pressure that the Patriots had clearly put on them. So a credit to them, a credit to the D-line. And just, managed to shut down that entire run scheme. Really clever, really, really good game from Vrabel and the boys.
Stefan Diggs coming out after that game saying that was personal for him, and maybe that gave him a bit more fuel for the fire.
That's what football's all about.
100% is what football's all about. But yeah, shock loss for both of those teams. The Bills and the Eagles now sharing the same losing record as the Packers this season. So we're in good company.
We always find a way.
We always find a way, especially on a bye week. We always find a way. Elsewhere on Sunday, we had the Cardinals throwing it all away in the driver's seat and then turning left off a bridge, 21-22 for the Titans. A comedy of errors there. A massive interception which turned into a fumble, which then found its way into the end zone for a Titans touchdown. I mean, you just cannot write this sort of stuff. But yeah, the Titans finally being able to get a win this season and knocking their 10-game losing streak. Another team knocking their losing streak with the Saints. They beat the Giants 26-14, which means the Jets are the only winless team in the league this season. 0-5. That is not good, especially now that they've got to travel and leave everything behind in the States because they're coming to London this week.
Yeah, we get the pleasure of watching it live, don't we, in all its glory. I think.
Imagine if they go 0-6 in London. That'd be against the Broncos side that we've just heavily touted.
Yeah, and really, we said this at the start of the season. They exposed themselves so early on. Aaron Glenn was sort of stood on a hill about how they were going to be run heavy, they were going to run the ball, they were going to be really dominant at the line of scrimmage. Well, that's great, but what are you doing when it's third and long? And we've seen Fields trying to go mobile, just falling short. We've seen him looking for Garrett Wilson, missed passes. Garrett Wilson in double coverage because they don't have an out-and-out receiver too. It's worrying, and he's going to be coming up against, in my opinion, outside of Myles Garrett, the best defensive player in the NFL next week, Pat Surtain. So good luck, Garrett Wilson. A friend of ours is wearing your jersey. He's there in support, but I don't know if he will be by the end of the game.
Unfortunately for Dangle the Garrett, the Jets are 0-5 in the league, and he's about to be 0-5 in fantasy, so at least there's a parallel going on there.
Nice.
What I would say, you mentioned him quickly, Justin Fields, again, another good game. It's on the defence, this one, and to be fair, I think a lot of it's on Javonte Williams and Ryan Florney.
And for me, as well, looking at the passing game, one of the most dominant offense in the league at the minute, the Cowboys, them and the Lions. We saw a crucial 1v1 matchup in Sauce Gardner and Pickens. It was always going to be the test on the day with CeeDee Lamb out, and ultimately he came out on top, and that's going to be a real test again next week. We're seeing the Broncos Jets obviously at Tottenham live. That'll be one I'm keeping a close eye on is Sutton lining up against Sauce Gardner. So yeah, the secondary as well. It seems to be all areas of the defense is just really struggling, and an interesting one considering they've hired Aaron Glenn, who is an out and out defensive coach at the heart of things. So worrying times if you're in New Jersey.
Really, I am seriously worried about that side. Genuinely, it's not easy to just pack your bags and go somewhere else for a game. Obviously, the Jets did play in London last year, so they kind of know what's going on. And I think the Broncos played it at Wembley a couple of years ago. So both of them have a little bit of international pedigree, but it's not easy to focus on purely winning a game when there's so much more going on around you, especially with traveling. Another team that I am very worried about is the Ravens. They lost to the Texans 44-10. Guys, I think it is time to start having a conversation about what is happening in Baltimore.
Yeah, the 1-4 Ravens, I don't think anyone saw that start of the season, certainly not after week one. Obviously, the big talking point is that they are Lamarless. However, you've got to look at the defence. From 2000 to 2024, they were first in points per game given up, and they were second in yards per game given up. They're now 32nd and dead last in the points per game given up, and they're 31st in the yards. So obviously, whilst, in theory they are on defence more with Lamar being out, the issues they have is so much deeper than the Lamar problem, which hopefully they will solve in a couple of weeks. And I think they could be in a little bit of trouble. Obviously, they're 1-4. They need to save a playoff spot, which they need to start winning some games. By the time Lar comes back, they could be 1-6.
How funny is it, just to close off the point around the Ravens, if we look at the AFC North as a sort of wider picture, Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old is the only quarterback that started in week one to still be starting. Granted, he's on his bye week.
That is actually crazy.
Lamar Jackson out. Joe Flacco out. Joe Burrow out. It's just crazy. It's worrying times. I think the Steelers are now absolutely in the driving seat to win the AFC North, which is crazy. Who'd have thought it?
Just speaking about Lamar Jackson being absent, I was fully banking on Derrick Henry basically running the show and getting more time to be able to rush for Baltimore, because when Lamar's out, they are quite a run-heavy side. So I was expecting Derrick Henry to do a lot more than just 33 rushing yards.
We spoke about it a little bit earlier. Teams are just stuffing the box against the big running teams. Baltimore, 49ers with McCaffrey, obviously Eagles with Barkley. And I'm not going to talk about the 49ers, but you look and the teams that lost this week are the teams that are really struggling to throw the ball. And how long is it until we see teams like, the Colts get the run stuffed, and then that puts more, obviously, pressure on Dan Jones. James Cook saw it this week. The run really is being hit at the minute in the NFL.
So a lot of talking points from the games on Sunday, but look, we've still got one more to play. It's the Chiefs at the Jaguars. Guys, the only reason I think I'll be watching this game is I need Travis Kelce to get me 3 points, and then I'm going to win my week in fantasy.
I need Brenton Strange for 5.
I need Mahomes and Booker to be held to sub 20. So seems like we're all really active in this game. But yeah, it's an interesting game, actually, I think. I think the Jags have looked more promising than people would have thought when we first set out the season. But the Chiefs, they're averaging 30 points a game over the last 3 weeks, which is huge. And Mahomes is spreading the ball really well. They're even without Rashee Rice at the minute, but he's still finding... Last week he found 7 receivers. So yeah, I think if they can just sneak this win, they're in really good stead once Rashee Rice is back. But for me, it's a classic sort of Monday Night Football, primetime under the lights matchup, offense versus defense. The Jags are just balling out. They've been sneakily elite on defense. They lead the league with a 9+ turnover differential, and they're just forcing takeaways left, right, and centre. If you watch them, they're just everywhere. They're doing a really good job, and they're going under the radar.
I think you're right. I think that is a perfect Monday Night Football game, and yeah, I'm really hoping to wake up and see a big "you've won" when I boot up the fantasy app tomorrow morning. But yeah, boys, really exciting things happening this week. We get to all be together for a change at one of the international games. We are going to go down for the Jets Broncos at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Really excited. There's going to be loads of football, maybe a few pints as well. We'll take you along for the journey, and yeah, be sure to check our socials to see how we get on. And before then, though, another episode of the Early Hours podcast coming at you on Thursday.